Good morning. So things are moving on nicely with this Pietro 24 bass. What I've done now is start to put it back together. So I've actually attached the grill. I've just put a new grill lining on there as well, and some new screws. That's looking really nice. I've reattached the bellows straps with some new screws as well. I've put the bass strap back on. So that's all good, and I've also just attached some straps that I've just had lying around just for testing purposes, but I'm going to make some new straps. I've ordered some leather and I'm going to make some new straps for this, but that hasn't arrived yet. But when that arrives, I'll show you how I make some new accordion straps. So now that's all together, and that's the back panel that I put on when I was doing the bodywork. I think it's looking okay. I've got the patches of celluloid that I've just sanded back and polished. So it's looking a lot happier than when I started it. I've still got a little bit more to do in terms of finishing. I'm going to try and polish up the bellows corners a little bit if I can, because they're a little bit dull and they look a bit dark. I might try and shine them up if I can. Not sure if I will be able to, because it looks pretty difficult to do that, but I'll have a go, see if I can get them shiny, and give the whole case another little polish up. But there we are. So that's good. Now this is the point where the tuning has to start happening, because these reeds have been, well, they're 80 years old and they've been in and out, and it's according to them played in different kind of humidities and temperatures and all kinds of stuff. The reeds just need a little bit of work, particularly because they just get slightly dirty, slightly corroded, like bent. So they just need getting into a really nice condition. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what it sounds like, and then I'm going to actually take it to bits again, get the reed blocks out and start to get them tuned up. So this is what it sounds like at the moment. So I'll just do a little French waltz. So it's got a lovely tone, it's got a nice sound. There's a few things I can hear. I can hear one of the lowest bass reeds has got a bit of a rattle. So I need to investigate that rattle. It might just be that the rivet is a bit loose and just needs kind of just tapping and tightening a bit. And I can hear that it's got a nice 2-voice tremolo, but it's not tuned, so it sounds pretty nice, but it could sound a lot better. But I'm really happy with the fact that all the notes are playing. There's no notes playing when I'm not pushing a key, so the palettes are all sitting properly. The other thing that I'm happy about is the compression. So if I kind of pull the bellows, I'm having to pull quite hard to get that to move. And another thing you can do, if you just hold it up, if I just hold it up like this and just let it drop. So let's have a look. Let's put those straps on like that. So I just put that on there. So it's dropping pretty slowly, and I think for an 80-year-old accordion, I think it's pretty good actually. So the bellows feel like they're holding air, and there's no major leaks. And I think the compression will get a little better as the new facings on the treble side pallets just start to just get a little bit more bedded in, if you like. But that is a good, I'm pretty happy with that compression actually. I think that's pretty nice. Okay, so all good, but it will sound a lot better once it's been tuned. Now what I'm going to do now is take off the treble reed blocks, and I'm going to tape off the tremolo side of the reed block, because you've got the standard pitch A440, which is a reference pitch if you like, and that's just tuned to the reference of A440. So the A above middle C is 440 Hertz, and then everything's tuned to that. And then there's another set of reeds which are tuned higher to give you the tremolo. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to blank off or tape off the tremolo reeds, so I'm just left with the standard pitch ones, A440, and I'm then going to assess those by playing the accordion and using a tuner to see where they are. So then they're going to tune those reeds first, and once the standard kind of reference tone, reference pitch reeds are tuned, then I'll untape the tremolo reeds and play the two reeds together. And then I've got a little application on my laptop which allows me to then measure the tremolo, and then I can adjust that tremolo to my kind of liking, and then the kind of the pattern that I like. So what I'll do now, I'm going to tape off the tremolo reeds, and then I'm going to play it again, get my tuner, and just have a look at how they're behaving. Okay, so that's the first step. Oh wait, then. So I've taken off the treble side reed blocks, and I know which side is A440 because I've tested it, and which side is the tremolo side. So I'm going to tape off the side which is the tremolo side, which I know is going to be this side here. So all I'm going to do is get some electrical tape, and this is just to block off those reeds. So I'll just copy it. No, actually, so I'm just going to carefully just tape off one set, being careful not to cover any of the holes on the other side, and just trim that tape off so it doesn't get in the way of anything else, particularly when you're putting it back into the accordion. So just trim that off nice and neat. So that's trimmed nicely, and I'll do the same thing. That's for the white notes. Do the same thing for the black notes. Ah, not long enough. Okay, on the wrong side. Yeah, see me. There we go. Turn that off. Turn that off. Okay, so those are now blanked off. So I'm going to put the reed blocks back in, and then I can just play the A440 lines with sets of reeds and assess the tuning of those and get that tuned before I do the tremolo. So give me a second, I'm going to put it all back together, and then I'll show you how I then tackle that first step. Right. Okay, this is interesting. I've put the, oh, there we go. I've put the treble reed block back in with the tremolo taped off, and so now I can just hear the one set of reeds, A440, and actually, I think they sound pretty nice. So that's nice. And it kind of tells me that maybe the majority of the tuning that I'm going to have to do will be on the tremolo reeds, because that sounds pretty good. But what I'm going to do now is get my tuner and just have a look at exactly what's going on. Now for this first set of tuning, I'm going to use an app on my phone. Sorry, just too many things to pick up. And I've got a tuning app. It's actually a piano tuner app, but it actually works really well for this bit. So I'll just find the app. Where is it? I haven't used it for a while. There we go. So I've got a piano tuner app on my phone, and I've got that set on A440. And so what I'm going to do is now play the notes and then see how well they're doing with the tuner, if they're sharp or flat, and by how much. Now my battery's just about to run out on the camera here, so I'm going to change the battery and I'll show you how that works. Okay, now I'm all set. So I've got my app on my phone, and that's set, and I'll make sure it's on A440 so that I know I'm tuning to the right standard. Got my notebook and pencil, and what I'm going to do now is make some notes on the tuning of the treble side A440 reeds. So I just get my accordion. Oopsie. That's fine. Accordion's always heavy. There we are. That's the price you pay. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure I don't spill my tea. Play. I'll start with the white notes, then go to the black notes. I'm going to play the notes, have a look at the reading on my tuner, and see where they come and whether they're sharp or flat and how much they're sharp or flat. So I'll just give an example. I'll start on middle C just to show you an example. So I'll play the middle C. And I see that the pull was spot on, and then the push was slightly sharp. So I can make a note here. I'll just start my notes. Middle C. So pull I was happy with. The push was slightly sharp. So what I'm going to do then is go through and make a few notes, and then I can then address those little bit tuning issues by, if I'm going to flatten a reed, is taking a little bit of the reed material off near the rivet, and if I'm going to sharpen a reed, I'm going to take a bit of material off near the tip. So I'm going to just go through and make some notes, and then I'm going to take the reed block out and just do some little adaptations, and then put it back in and check it again. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do, I'll just make some notes on my reeds, and I'll show you when I've made those notes. Right, so the tuning process. So I've made my notes in my notebook on the state of the tuning, and what I've done for each note, I've made a note on the push and the pull, how that note was sounding. So whether it was a little bit sharp, a little bit flat, you know, quite a bit flat or sharp, and I kind of like made a kind of a grading how much flat or sharp it was as well. So my own little kind of technique, my own little way of doing that. And then once I've done all the whole of the black and white notes, I then take the reed block out, and then I just go through the reeds. And so, for example, if I thought G flat 1 on the push was just a little sharp, so that's my G flat 1 there. So if it was on the push, that's when you're pushing the bellows together, that's when you're sucking air out of the bellows, and so that would have been the outside reed. And so if that's a little sharp, then I'll need to flatten it. Now to flatten it, well, I'll just show you how I do this. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and I'll show you how I do it. Just excuse me a second, I'll just zoom in. Oh, here we go. Okay, so to flatten a reed, I'll just do an outside reed to start with. I'll just, hey, there we go. So what I'll do is support the reed with the blade like that, about halfway, and then I would take some of the material off the reed between the middle and the rivet. Now you need to find some tool which is sharp enough to be able to take the metal off a scratcher if you like. Now what I found really good is these micro drills, and I've got these as a little kit like this. Just got them. They're really tiny micro drills for jewellery and different things, but they're really sharp. So I've got myself a little micro drill, and then I'll just do a little scratch between the rivet and halfway, and that will lower the pitch. Now the important thing is when you're trying to lower the pitch or raise the pitch, don't take off too much. It's like having a haircut. If you cut too much hair off, you can't stick it back on again, and if you take too much off, you can't put it back on again. And what you end up doing, if you take too much off, say this, when you're flattening, and you make it too flat, then you'd have to kind of then start taking stuff off the tip to sharpen it again, and what you end up doing is really knackering up the reed because you're just taking too much metal off it, and eventually it will just sound awful. So my top tip is, if you're doing this, do a very little bit, check it with the tuner, see where you've got to, and then do a little bit more. Now because I've done dozens and dozens of these accordions, so over that time of 7 or 8 years now, I've developed a kind of feel for how much scratching on different reeds I need to do to change the pitch by a certain amount, but that just comes with practice and practice. So my other top tip is that if you are going to start tuning accordions, is start on an accordion that you haven't got any value with, almost like a junk accordion, and practice and practice and practice, because it will just take practice. It's like Dan Earlywine, who was a guitar technician, was saying that when you start to work on guitars, to start on junk guitars, if anything goes wrong, you haven't lost anything, and if it goes right, then you've got a nice gift for a friend with a nicely fixed up guitar. Same with accordions really. So that's how I would flatten. Now to sharpen, what I would do is just still support the reed, but take some material off. Just bring my hand around that way so you can see. Just bring some material off the tip, right at the tip. Now there's two ways of doing this. You can either just scratch with your scratcher, but I prefer then to use a diamond tipped file, one of these, and support the reed, and then just take a little bit off the very tip. Now again, take it steady, because you can always do a bit more, but if you take too much off, you can't put it back on again, so you have to just really practice. So that's for the outside reeds. So these are the reeds that you would, because are the ones you can see, they're the ones when you you push the bellows, that will be the outside reeds that are sounding, and when you pull the bellows, that will be the inside reeds. Now it's more tricky doing the inside reeds because they're on the inside and you've got the valve there. So what I would do with the inside reeds is more tricky, but you just have to be really careful. I've got a really thin, long, pointy, whatever it is, and I'm going to put that into the reed block, and then I can lift up the valve and the reed, and then by doing that, if I just peel back, so I'm trying this on the camera, so it's a bit tricky just to show it on the camera. If I just peel back the reed, then I can access the, peel back the valve, sorry, they can access the reed, and then I can do any scraping on the tip or between the middle and the rivet by lifting carefully back the valve, doing a little bit of scraping and then checking. So this tool here is really useful, so I just go from the inside. So that's my tuning method, and it's something that I just practice and practice, but I would recommend that you just again start on a cheap accordion that you're not worried about, and go from there. So what I have done is I've gone and tuned the A440 pitch reeds and I'm happy with how they're sounding. So I'm going to put this back in and the other reed block, and I'll show you by playing it how the A440 reeds sound, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is looking at the tremolo tuning. Okay, so this is my single set of reeds now, just the A440 that I've tuned. I'm happy with that, and that sounds nice. So the next step is quite a nice step really, because now I'm going to bring in the second set of reeds, and so I'm going to take the tape off the tremolo set, put the reed blocks back in, and then I'm going to assess the tremolo tuning on the treble side. So give me a second while I just get the tape off. Right, okay, so now I've taken off the tape off the tremolo, I can now play both of those reeds together. Actually, it does sound very nice. That doesn't sound so good, that needs investigating. But actually it sounds really, really nice. Which is really, really helpful, because now I can check the tremolo tuning. So what I'm going to do now is use my Dirk's tuner, and so what I'll do, I'm going to change the camera angle so I can show you what that looks like. Okay, so here it is, and this is a really nice little app that I use for tuning, and I've set it up to measure the tremolo when two notes are playing at the same time. So the few things you have to do to start with: one, I've set it at A440 on the side scale here, and then the other thing I've done is I've selected how much tremolo I want across the scale. So for example, if I show you what I've set, just go to settings. So at C4 I want to have 15 cents, C-E-N-T, cents of beating, or that's the kind of difference between the two notes. And then going up to C6 I need to have 5. So on my accordion, C4 is probably what you might call middle C, but this one here, and then going up to C6 is right at the top end. So what I'm doing is I'm gradually decreasing the amount of tremolo between the bottom, the lower notes and the top notes, so it's not always the same, because if you have all the same tremolo all the way of all the notes, what you'll find is that you've either got not enough tremolo on some of them and enough on the others, or you've got too much tremolo on some and not enough on the others. So you have to kind of vary it a bit, so you need more tremolo for the lower notes and less tremolo for the higher notes to get yourself a nice sound. And what I've worked out is that by having C4 at 15 cents of beating and C6 at 5, and using that as my scale, if you like a gradual scale from the low notes to the high notes, that's the kind of desired tremolo that sounds nice to me. Right, so let's see how this works. I'm just going to get it all ready to go. So click off settings. So now it's all working. So what I'm going to do, I'm play a note, and we'll see what comes up on the graph, if you like. So let's start with a nice easy one in the middle. So let's just do a C and C. C. What happens? So I'm going to do a C, and I'm going to look on the readout and see how much difference I've got between the two notes that are playing C at the same time. Oh, now, sorry, I've got to set it to do 2 notes. I was just setting 1. So let's try that again. There we go. I was only very good reading 1 note. Now it's going to read 2 notes. So on the pull, it was reading between 16 and 17 degrees of sense of difference, and I'm looking for 15, so that's very, very close. On the push, it's reading about 8, and it needs to be 15, so I can see that on the pull it's very, very close to what I'd like it to be, and I can hear that as well. But on the push, it's a bit off. So what I can do now, I can make a note of how much I've got to increase the tremolo for a certain note. For a note, so on the pull, I can reduce it very, very slightly, and on the push, I need to increase it quite a bit. And so I make a kind of little note of what I need to do for each of those notes. And so to increase the tremolo, what I will do is I'd sharpen the tremolo reed for that note, for that C, and so by sharpening that tremolo note, it would increase the tremolo. And if I wanted to flatten, if I wanted to reduce the beating or the difference of the tremolo, then I would flatten the note, because then that would reduce the difference between the 440 set of reeds and the tremolo reeds. So either you flatten or sharpen the tremolo reeds to get to the amount of tremolo that you'd like. But the beauty of this system is that it tells me how much beating I would like for each note, and then tells me what I'm actually getting. So if I go to this one here, I'd like to have 12 cents of difference, and I was getting 12, which is really, really nice. So now that I haven't got to do anything to that one. On the push, let's have a look. And on a push I was getting 16, and I'd like to have 12, so I need to just reduce the amount of tremolo on the push just very slightly. So there we are. That's my tool for tuning the tremolo reeds. It's called Dirk's Instrument Tuner. Really, really useful. And so what I'm going to do now is just make notes on all of the notes and how much tremolo they've got, and then make some adaptations. So let's just move this back over here now. Yeah. Sorry about this. There we go. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to do then. I'm just going to play all the notes, see what the app says, make some notes on how much to change the tremolo tuning reeds, either flatten or sharpen them to get the desired amount of tremolo, and then put the reeds back in, check them, and maybe do it again, just because it sometimes takes 2 or 3 goes to get it absolutely right. And again, not to take too much off each reed, just do a little bit and check it, a little bit and check it, rather than just kind of taking loads off in one go, because you can't put it back on again. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to tune the tremolo set of reeds, and then show you what it sounds like. Okay, I have now done my first pass on the tremolo reeds, and I think they're getting really nice. pleased with that. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to just do one more pass onto Dirk's tuner and just do some fine tweakings, but I think that's gone really well. I'm pretty happy with this. There we go. So that's good. I might just do one little final tweakings, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go and tackle the bass side. So I'll just go into get the bass reads out and show you how I'm going to do that. Okie dokie. Time to have a go at the bass tuning, bass side of tuning. Now, this is a little bit different. I've taken out the 2 sets of the bass reeds. Now the other 2 are stuck in, so they can't come out. Now if I press a bass note, not the chord but just the bass note, I can see that by doing that button it not only opens up the 2 reeds on the reed block here, but also the 2 reeds on the reed block I've taken out. So it gets quite tricky to assess which note you're tuning or which note needs tuning. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to tape off these holes here from this reed block that I've taken out, and I'm just going to play the bass notes and have a listen to them. And by doing that, I should be able to pick up whether I've got any notes that need tuning just by using my sense of pitch of my ear. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, and then I'll show you what I'll do next. So let's have a quick listen to that. Just put that down a minute. So I'm going to put it all back together, but first of all tape off this this little set of holes here, and then I can just isolate these 2 sets of reeds and have a little listen. So it is a bit more tricky when you've got a stuck in reed block. You have to kind of work around it really, and that's just how you have to make it go. You have to do what's in front of you. Deal with what's in front of you. You have to deal with what's in front of you, not do what's in front of you. I'm talking nuts. Right, just one more bit, I think. Get that stuck down. So I should get just a little sound of those 2 reeds, and then hopefully will give me some indication as to what these ones are doing. Okay, let's put the accordion back together and I'll show you what it sounds like with just those 2 reeds playing, sets of reeds playing on the bass side. Okay, there we go. Let's turn up a bit. So now I've got the 2 sets of reeds playing on their own, and this is what they sound like. So start on the C. Happy with that? Happy with that? Ooh! Something weird going on with that one. B flat. So I have to investigate that one. That's nice. Sounds nice. No tuning issues at all. Ooh! Okay, and that was the A on the pull. Oh god, something's gone on there. And that I can hear, it's not the lowest reed, but the higher of the 2 reeds. So that I need to check out that one. And so let's go back to that B flat. Yeah, so I need to just investigate that. So the B flat is just a bit buzzy on the push and the pull. The A on the pull is just weird, and I think it's the higher of the two reeds. So, but the tuning doesn't sound out at all. I just think it just it sounds absolutely fine. So I'm not really worried about tuning those reeds out, which is a good thing because they're quite tricky to tune being in situ. But I need to investigate the A and the B flat and see what's going on with those two. So let me just get into those reeds and I'll see if I can find out what's going on. Okay, stop and come back in a sec. Okay, so the A on the pull was sounding exceedingly weird. So there's something a bit off with that one. So it's this, and it was the higher of the two, not the lowest one, but the higher of the A ones on here. So the pull is when the air's been blown into the accordion, which is the inside valve. So I can't actually see that inside reed. I can't see that reed. So what I'm going to have to do is take that reed out because I need to see it underneath. So what I'm going to do now is just very carefully lift out that reed. Just lever it up, and then because the wax is quite soft because I've only just done it, it should be possible to push that back in without too much problem. But this is the offending reed, which I can see straight away. So what's happened on the inside reed, there's some wax that's just got caught on the tip and underneath, and that's what's causing that to give you that weird sound. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up that inside reed, get rid of that wax, and get that all nice before putting it back together. So let me just do that quick. Okay, so that was that one done. And the B flat, now the B flat, so that's the A. That's B flat. So I couldn't really tell which of those reeds was causing the problem. So I'm going to get both of them out. So I'm going to take out the B flat reeds. Have a little look. So I'll start with the higher pitch one and have a look inside that one and just see if I can find out why that was making a funny sound. Let me have an investigate. Now I think that B flat reed, I think it's this big B flat reed here, which is just sounding weird. So I'm going to hook that one out and have a look at it. It might be that I might need to change that reed because it's just sounding really, really rattly. Oh, I can hear it. It's sounding really rattly, this one. So I'm going to have to do a bit of work on that. I might just investigate a little bit further and then just tell you what I found. Okay, I've hoiked out the B flat reed, the biggest one, and it's just not very good at all. I think it's just the reeds themselves need to be kind of quite badly bent. So what I'm going to do is transpose it for another one. I find the same size reed B flat in my little box. So I collect all my reeds, spare reeds in pitch order. I've got one here. So I'm going to put this one through the ultrasonic cleaner, revolve it, and I'm going to put this one in place of the one which is just causing horrible noises. So let me just do that and I'll show you when I've just fixed that one in. Okay, so I've now cleaned the replacement reed and I've valved it, and it just sounds like it should sound. And what I've just heated up my wax in my heater, because I'm just going to put a little bit extra wax just around the little chamber where that reed will sit, just to add a little bit of extra, and then just put a little bit of wax around the edges, just so it kind of is definitely in nice and securely. So let's just get myself a bit of wax here. There we go. So I'm just going to put a little bit extra just around the edges before I put that reed back in. best chance. And because it's nice and soft, just push that reed into that wax. That should be tickly boo. Let's get that in. It's a bit of a bigger reed. It sticks out a tiny bit, but the actual reed itself is the same size, so although the reed plate is a bit bigger, the overall performance should be fine. So let's just tidy that up a little bit. Just put a little bit extra, yeah, along the top there. That is in, so I'm going to leave that for a little bit to cool down. Turn off my wax heater. So what I'm going to do now is leave that for about half an hour or so, just for that wax to cool off before I test it. Make sure that's turned off. And I'm going to put the accordion back together with those two still blanked off, so I can just have another listen to these and check that what I've done has actually made them work better. Have another listen. So let's stop this and I'll show you again in about 30 minutes. Brilliant. So all good on the bass notes. So all great now. So we've got that's the one that I replaced. It's a really low. It's a slightly lower pitch. It's a lot below the one I took out. So it's got a real low end. I kind of hear the whole accordion vibrating, and that was brilliant. So that is great. So I'm really pleased now. I've got all those bass notes working. No tuning issues. So that's all tickety boo. Now the next step of the bass tuning is I'm just going to have a look at this. Let's just put the camera down a little bit. This reed block, because when you play one of the chord buttons, it plays 3 notes at the same time. It's very difficult to isolate one of these notes on its own, one of these reeds, because, well, it just is. So what I'm going to start off doing is I'm just going to play each note through my bellows thingy bobbly. Actually, I'll bring this down and you can see what I've made. Oh yeah, so I've just put some bellows underneath my desk, which I can then push with my legs. And there's a hole on the desk which blows air through there. So that's my... Sorry about the camera work here. That's my kind of test bellows, and this works really well when I just need to do some tuning of the reed blocks out of the accordion. Normally I don't do that, particularly on the treble side I won't do that, but on the bass side, because it's so much more difficult to isolate one note because they're playing chords, what I start off by doing is just by playing notes through my little bellows table onto the tuner and tuning them just nicely on here, then put them back into the accordion and have a listen, and just by ear picking up whether there needs any further adjustments, because when you put the reed block back into the accordion it will change the pitch very slightly, but not masses. So what I'm going to do is just get them tuned so they're all behaving out of the reed, out of the accordion, pop it back in again, have a good listen. If it sounds great, all good, I'll stop there. If I can hear any kind of sharpness or flatness just by kind of listening as carefully as I can to the kind of notes that are playing, then I'll see if I can make some basic adjustments. But let's have a look. So what I'll do is I'll put it on here. Okay, good stuff. So all the bass notes are now working. I can just there you go. Just give a little demo. I changed one reed, one of the lowest reeds on the B flat, and it's really low. So it's an octave below the one I took out. So it's got a really nice deep end, which I like. Anyway, here's what it sounds like. All the bass notes. That's all with a really deep bass now. So I'm really happy with that. That just sounds great. So I'm going to leave those. Oh, take this off. And now I'm going to focus on the other reed block. Now, one of the problems is with the bass reed blocks is that when you play one of the chord buttons, it plays 3 notes at the same time. So it can be really hard to isolate one note from another note because, well, it's tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all take the reed block and I'm going to pass it over my tuning bench just here. So if I just show you what I've done, I'll just bring this over. So underneath my table I've got these bellows with a hole on the top of the table, and then if I then put the reed block over the hole, I can then play. I know, I'll show you how that works. So put that back down to here. Oh, sorry about the dodgy camera work. Oy, 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 oy. There we go. So let's have a little look. So I can just put my knee underneath here. Got that. And see if we can get some notes playing. What I can do is I can just measure the pitch with my tuner and just tune this up as best I can out of the accordion. And I know that once I've put them back in again, it might change the pitch a little, but not massively. But I'm just trying to get it into good shape here, then put the reed block back into the accordion, have a listen, and then by ear just try and pick up any notes which are sounding a bit sharp or flat, and then do a little bit of extra work if needed. So first of all, I'm just going to get this tuned up using my bellows table, blow some air through these reeds, have a look at the tuner, and do some basic tuning on these reeds. So I'll show you that when I've done them. Okay, so I'm pretty happy. I've done some tuning on this one. It wasn't really too bad. One reed wasn't playing, so I just did a little, took that reed out and just checked that it wasn't being caught up. It's just that the reed height needed, tip height needed just extending a little to get that to play, but that's all good. So I'm going to take the tape off here, put this reed block back in, and then I'm going to have a little listen to what's going on. So I'll just put this back in, and then just want to put everything back together, make sure that's all in nicely. All nice and secure. Perfect. So I'm going to put the accordion back together and I'm going to give it a little test. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up for this video. I'm pretty happy with the tuning now. So the treble side sounds nice, the bass side sounds nice. I might do a little bit an extra, just double checking and finessing, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think it sounds nice. I'll just play a little tune so you can hear what it sounds like. And here we go. There we are. So I think it sounds nice. I like it, I really like it. So in the next video, I think the next one's going to be the last one in this little series. I'm just going to do a few extra things. I'm going to level up the keyboard on the treble side a little bit. I'm just going to straighten out some of the bass buttons, which are some a little bit crooked. And I'm going to make some new shoulder straps when I've got some leather on order. When that comes, I'll show you how to make that, and then that'll be the final one. So I hope you've enjoyed the restoration, and I'm just pleased that this little 24 bass has been saved from the scrap heap. Anyway, thanks for watching.